Hi guys, welcome to the Cupcake Confession, and today I am showing you how to make the best vanilla pound cake that you will ever make. It is super light in texture, the crumb is tight, it is very tender, very moist, and it comes together using just a handful of ingredients, and we are not using any chemical leaveners. We let the ingredients work their magic and incorporate so much air and lightness into this cake, and it's just such a perfect treat. It's so easy, and the reason why I call this the best vanilla pound cake is because in this recipe we are going to swap the butter and make brown butter instead. And this one simple change, this one simple extra step really transforms your pound cake, and you get these natural butterscotchy, nutty, aromatic notes in the background, and it just amplifies the flavor of your pound cake and takes it to the next level. Making your brown butter could not be simpler. All you need is some butter, and you're just going to melt it and continue to cook it on a medium low heat until it starts to bubble, and then eventually it turns brown in color. Now I would recommend using a slightly higher amount of butter because the water content in the butter tends to evaporate as it heats up. And so if we need 180 grams of brown butter, which we do in this recipe, you will require about 210 to 220 grams of butter to melt. And I would recommend swirling the saucepan every so often, just so the heat is distributed throughout the butter. Eventually the butter will start to foam like this, and it will turn brown. You will smell it before you start to see the changes, and so I want you to be a little bit more alert because the brown butter can turn to burnt butter pretty quickly. And so we cook this on a medium low heat and continue cooking this, and this is the color change that we are looking for. And as soon as that happens, you will start to smell the nuttiness and the butterscotch notes in this, and we will take it off the heat. Now what I'm going to do is I am going to transfer this into my bowl, but I like to weigh it first actually, just to make sure that I'm getting the proper 180 grams of the brown butter. And do not skip those brown bits at the bottom. They are packed with flavor, and I like to just leave this in the freezer for about 20 to 25 minutes because now this is in completely liquid state. We want it to be sort of semi-solid because we need to whip a lot of air into this. It's what is going to give our pound cake that lightness without using any chemical leavening agents. So while that butter is coming down to room temperature, we'll prepare our strawberries. Now this is entirely optional. You absolutely do not need to use strawberries in this recipe. I like to macerate these strawberries and add them as a topping on my pound cake with some whipped cream. It's just that extra finishing touch that makes it look a little bit more elegant. So I am going to first take the stems and the green leafy bits out and then weigh the strawberries, and then I'm going to slice them into quarters and then further chop them till they are a little bit chunky like this. And then I'm going to macerate this. Macerating is my favorite way to prepare strawberries. I like to add a little bit of sugar on top of the strawberries and give it a good mix. What this does is it releases the natural juices of the strawberries, and after leaving this in the refrigerator for about an hour or so, the sugar starts to melt and the natural juices from the strawberries also begin to release, giving you a beautiful natural strawberry syrup, and the strawberries go tender as well. So that is just beautiful. And then we'll also prepare our dry ingredients. So here I have some all-purpose flour, and I'm going to sift in some toasted milk powder. Toasted milk powder adds so much body and flavor to your pound cakes. You definitely have to try it. I have an entire recipe on my YouTube channel on how to make your own toasted milk powder. I have linked it in the description, and it's also available on the screen. So you can click that link and watch it. I am going to give it a good whisk and keep it aside. Now everything is ready. All we have to do is start working on making our pound cake. So you'll first preheat your oven to 170 degrees Celsius. And here you can see I had popped this in the freezer. So you can see that the top of the brown butter has set, and it is still pretty liquid underneath. I can feel it as I touch it, but because the sides have sort of gone solid, the bottom has cooled to room temperature, and once you mix it all up together, it comes to the perfect temperature. So this is what the consistency will look like. I know it doesn't look very appealing at this point, but bear with me, it will totally be worth it. Using a paddle attachment on my stand mixer, I'll start mixing this on a medium speed. I'll just mix this for 1 minute first because I just want this butter to be softened and sort of spreadable consistency at this stage. And then I'm going to start adding the sugar. I'll add all of the sugar in one go, and then I will start mixing this first for 5 minutes. We are going to mix this for a total of 10 minutes. That's right, we need to incorporate a lot of air into this. So first for 5 minutes, I'm going to whip this, and you can already see the dramatic change, not just in the color, but also in the volume of this butter and sugar mix. You can see how voluminous it has gone, and it's really pale and fluffy at this point. Like, it has gone from a deep golden brown color to a creamy consistency and color. So now it's another 5 minutes. So we've been whipping this butter and sugar mix for about 10 minutes now, and you can see the dramatic increase in the volume that we've got. Again, I'm going to scrape the sides and the bottom of the bowl. This is very important because you don't want those unmixed bits stuck at the bottom. It will affect the texture of the cake. Now we'll slowly start adding the eggs one at a time, making sure that they are incorporated really well into this pound cake batter before we add the next egg. The batter is really starting to go silky smooth. Now, once we've added the final egg, we'll keep mixing this for another minute. Then I'll add my vanilla extract into this, and then I'll mix this again for about 2 more minutes, scraping the sides and the bottom of the bowl really well halfway through. This ensures that the eggs have mixed uniformly with the cake batter. Now at this stage, you might start to notice that the batter starts to curdle. Do not be alarmed, it will re-emulsify again once we add the flour. Just keep going. So after you've added the vanilla extract, you'll beat this on a medium speed for 1 minute, then scrape the sides and the bottom of the bowl, and then beat it for another minute, and this is what it looks like. Now we are going to sift in the all-purpose flour and the toasted milk powder that we prepared earlier. And now I'll start mixing this again on the slowest speed setting, just until it starts to come together. You do not want to overwork the cake batter here. You just want to mix it until it starts to look like a nice, smooth, velvety batter. Overworking the batter will develop the gluten and will give you a very dense, tough cake, and you don't want that. You want a really nice, tender and light pound cake. This is what the batter consistency will look like, and you can see those little specks of the brown butter bits in there. It is truly a magnificent pound cake, and you have to try it to experience the flavors. They are truly out of this world. I have here a 9-inch loaf tin that I have greased really well, and I've lined one side of it with parchment paper, and I'm going to add my pound cake batter into this tin. I love how lush this batter looks, and it absolutely has my heart. Now I'm going to use an offset spatula to spread this cake batter around to make sure that it is spread out evenly, which helps it bake evenly in the oven as well. And then I am going to really tap this hard against the work surface. It helps us release any air pockets in the cake batter. And this is a trick that we all are familiar with. A lot of the best pastry chefs in the world recommend doing this, that we use melted butter to create a little line in the center, and that helps the cake crack right in the center this way. It will bake in the oven at 170 degrees Celsius for 1 hour. A skewer or a knife inserted in the center will come out clean, and once it's out of the oven, you're going to let it cool in its tin for about 15-20 minutes, and then take it out and place it on a wire rack to help it cool down completely. And once it's done, we are ready to slice into it, and look at how stunning this vanilla pound cake looks. It is hands down the best vanilla cake you'll ever eat. It is super light in texture. You can see how tight the crumb is. It's very moist. This is truly a show-stopping cake. It tastes incredible as is. You will always want to reach out for second and third helpings. That's how amazing this vanilla pound cake is, and it has those subtle butterscotchy notes coming through from the brown butter that we have used to make this pound cake. Now, like I mentioned earlier, you can serve it as is, but I love to beautify this and add a little special touch to it by adding some whipped cream that has been whipped to soft peaks, and then adding those macerated strawberries on top of it, and just soaking it up with a little bit more of that strawberry syrup. It just adds such a special touch to this brown butter vanilla pound cake. This is going to be an unforgettable experience. It tastes out of this world, and it's such a simple dessert to put together, especially if you have guests over or if you are hosting a dinner party. This would be such an amazing dessert idea, especially if you're pressed for time and you can't really create something elaborate. This is simple, and it also goes really well with a cup of coffee. I just couldn't resist. I had to dig right in, and this slice was over within seconds of filming this video. And then I definitely obviously reached for another helping, and I have no regrets because this vanilla pound cake is literally so delicious. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a big thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and hit the bell icon so you're notified every time I post a new video. I'll see you again in another baking video. Until then, goodbye and happy baking!